This is a second video on cat stance, Neko-Ashi Dachi. The first video on Neko-Ashi Dachi looked at what it is, how to make the stance, how to move, step in the stance, and what are some of its benefits. In this video, we're going to look at using Neko-Ashi Dachi as a training tool, a training method to improve stepping and turning in our other stances, particularly front stance and back stance. So what I'm going to suggest is that when we step and turn in either front stance or back stance or from one to the other, there can be a cat stance in the middle of it. So for instance, going from front stance to front stance. And I'll put my hands on my hips to just isolate the actual stance. So front stance, toes of the front foot pointing forward, back foot about 45 degrees. So as you and all of our front stances are C-steps, right? The foot comes in close and then goes back out again. Well, as it comes in and just a little bit past the back foot, and the back foot turns, it's a cat stance. And then come out, and then the other side, come in, a little bit past, on the ball of the foot, this foot turned out, and then cat stance. And of course, when we're practicing in the dojo with no shoes on, we're always moving on the balls of our feet, almost always. When we're doing basics or kata, we should be moving on the ball of our feet, which makes it perfect for a cat stance, because that's what a cat stance is. This foot's down, but this one's up, the heel's up. So that's a perfect way to reinforce, by the way, the fact that when you move, you should be moving on the ball of your foot, the foot that's moving as you step. So, and we also have a transition from a back stance to a front stance, as in Heian Nidan, right for the Kiai and the Nukite. So I'm in a back stance, come out, come in, cat stance, front stance, Kiai. As far as going from front stance to back stance, off the top of my head, I can't think of a kata that has that. There probably is, but I can't think of it now. But anyway, we can just practice anything. We can practice a front stance punch into a back stance, and the halfway point is Neko-Ashi Dachi. Because this foot's pointed here. As I go into back stance, it's going to end up pointing there. But halfway in between is 45 degrees. And that's where it is now. So, as far as turns go, changing directions, that's what a turn is. Almost all the turns we do in Shotokan, conveniently, are contained in the first kata that we teach to beginners, Heian Shodo. So you have the 90-degree turn. The first one takes place at the first move. And that's the completion of the move. We have the 180-degree turn, cat stance. Then we have the actual cat stance. We have another 90-degree turn. Then we have our rising strikes, and we have rising blocks. Then we have the 270. And there's a cat stance there. I can drop it. We have another 90, another 180, and another 90. Then we come down to our punch, and we've got another 270 from front stance to back stance. Well, in between is a cat stance. Now stepping out to here, back stance to back stance, in between cat stance. Now the 135-degree turn, back stance to back stance, in between is a cat stance, and of course the final one is here. So training this way, what that will do is will help your balance and your posture, and it'll help you because your cat stance, you're pretty much, your torso is straight. So if you stop in the middle of your stance and make sure your torso is straight, that's good. It'll help your balance because you'll learn to balance. It'll help you to balance on the one leg, because that's what a stance is. Another thing, as you're stepping through the stance, you're balancing only on the one leg until you hit the stance, then you're on both legs. So you always have to be balancing on one leg when you're moving in stance. stepping because the other foot is sliding along on the ball of the foot. And of course, cat stance helps to do that too, because the cat stance, the Neko Ashidachi, is on the ball of the foot. So all these ways, balance, using the ball of your foot, keeping your torso straight and keeping your torso over your hips, can be helped by practicing in cat stance, practicing the stepping that way. So I'm going to suggest the way you can put this all together is to do Heian Shodan. All 21 moves that way, which I will demonstrate. And I'll do it slowly. Heian Shodan. So, ich, ni, san, shi, go, ro, shich, hach, ku, ju, ich, ni, san, shi, go, ro, shi, hach, ku, ju, ich. So, the summary is, by slowing down your stepping and your turning and putting a cat stance in the middle, somewhere in the middle of those steps or turns, you can improve the performance of stepping in those stances, which are front stance and back stance. You can improve the performance by improving your balance, your posture, and moving on the ball of your foot, and the smoothness that you do those turns and stances, and the fact that everything, you're always coming back to center. When you're stepping, you're coming close to center and then expanding again. When you're turning, you're expanded, you're turning, you're contracted, and expanding again. So it'll help with all of those things. So, once in a while, practice Heian Shodan by slowing it down and putting a cat stance in the middle of each step and each turn. And as you get better at doing that, speed it up a little bit. See how fast you can get it and still be in that cat stance. And eventually, you'll go to the normal speed and you'll be better at doing that. So give it a try.